I'm not sure why I wanted to explain this concept right now, but it's very, very, very important. And it's coming on the precipice of the solar eclipse and the black sun, if that exists, and how you can see that in different places based upon the angle of the two discs, unless you think you live on a spinning ball flying through outer space. And I don't know why or how, but I'm going to try to link this up, and it has to do with evolution and why evolution can't occur from a stupid, dumb, inane, inefficient, a dead world. You can't get consciousness out of a rock. You can't put a baby, you can't just drop a baby into nature and expect it to survive. It never can. The idea that anybody that can believe in, and I'm not suggesting I believe in the Jesus God, and this is not how it works. We're talking about a lot higher level comprehension of how to figure this out by backtracking through who you are as the highest form of all creation, and remembering how you forgot. Because if you were a baby out of Africa, let's use the, I'm going to use two terminologies here and two cognitions, and this has to do with black and white, and has to do with evolution, and it has to do with well, those were the two main ones, aging and coloring through the spectral vibrations of the light that's produced over the planet or the plane that we live on, and where these people would have come from. And I'll just use Alan Watts' most wonderfully delicious quote about if aliens were to come down and take a look at us, they would see initially a rock with nothing on it, and they would notice a little later that this place was peopling, just the same way an apple tree apples. Now, an apple tree apples because it drops a seed of itself. What you can notice today in this existence is anywhere you look, what you see is a seed produces itself, or a degraded version. It never produces something different or better. So the only thing that could have happened is we could have become dilapidated or unfamiliar with what we actually were as the supreme architect of all consciousness. So to think that we all came out of Africa, or to think that we all were light-skinned or dark-skinned or curly-haired, or the mother produced it all, like, this is all ignorant and irrelevant towards what consciousness is. Consciousness doesn't have a sex. Your thoughts don't have sex. Your thoughts are just that. It's just the primordial source of all of creation. It's the metaphysician's laboratory. It's what alchemy really is. Alchemy said, I am myself. Now let me look at myself in a mirror and reflect upon something, what I am. And the only thing that could happen from that, you couldn't make anything better than you. How could you? Why would you want to? If you were already the supreme creator. Why? Because how could a tiny little a fish flop out of the water? Ask yourself this basic question. A fish flopped out of water and somehow learned to breathe and grow legs. If you believe that, I'm stumbling on how much I want to say, oh, I'm Zen, and I go, no, I can't believe you were just so misguided. And in the next breath say, that is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard. And then to think that, no, we all came out of Africa, and everybody had curly hair and was melanated, and everything was good, and everything was groovy and gravy and wonderful. And then where did the weird come in? Where did the bad come in? Oh, the white man did it. The unmelanated version. Where did the white man come from? Well, I thought we all came from Africa. Well, then as a melanated person, wouldn't that be your fault for not taking care of your own? So then we'll just trigger that one. Haha. See, funny, right? But I'm suggesting something completely different. They were all a radiant source of the same code of light, which produces all colors. All of them. Light is not white. Light is clear. And if you think there's a black and white spectrum, you've missed the whole thing. And if you think that curly hair became straight and that like brown eyes became blue eyes, and I mean, you've missed the whole thing. And if you think that the womb was the earth, you missed where the sun fits into this. And if you think the earth was the mother, and if you think that there's not other planetary, and by planetary I mean energetic systems that were controlling all this, you've missed the whole thing. Because there's no way you could, this is the point, there's no way you could drop a baby into nature and expect it to survive. Who was the first mother? The first mother was a fish? Hold on. The first mother was a dinosaur? Or, I mean, I don't even know how you get this. Was it an ape or a dinosaur? Which came first? No, I'm going to tell you. Well, it was a fish. And the fish just flopped out of water. It flopped out of water and grew the capacity to breathe. Do you see? Now, I'm laughing because I have fun with it. And it's not to belittle anybody. It's just say, yo, you've been lied to. There's no way that could have occurred. How could anyone know that? You can't know that. And if you thought about it, you'd come to the same rationalization from a rational frame of mind to say, there's no way that a fish could flop out of water and then all of a sudden learn how to breathe. Every single one of them would die. The same way, the fish flopped out of water and then learned how to breathe to become a monkey and then have these strong muscles and have hair on its back, but not on its chest, and eat vegetables, but then become so smart that it realizes it needs to grow hair on its chest, not on its back, become less strong, and eat meat. That's the dumbest shit you could ever devise, and everyone fell for it. So there's no way everybody came out of Africa. There's no way everybody came. I don't know where everybody came from, except for a primordial source that was higher in consciousness, higher in. And when I say higher and advanced, it's not, it's falling down the ladder, falling down the tree, or choosing to do. It doesn't really matter. It's disassociating yourself with self so you can explore the other versions of reality. Because if you became completely aware of everything, then you'd get bored of it. If you're going to win at every game, you'd immediately want to stop doing that. If I was better than everyone, it's like if you're an adult and you have a kid and you just never let the kid win, most of the time, 99% of the time, that kid is never going to want to play with you because it's going to be so frustrated with the reality that it's not as good or can't be possibly as good as you'll ever be. So no one would ever be that rude or confusing or dominating or domineering, patriarchal. No one doesn't. People have empathy in their heart. Now, there are some people that don't, and there's a whole thing that goes on beyond there. But this is just a reminder that we all came from the primordial source of meta world of creation, which there are many realms to and many places, but we exist here on this plane, and there's up and down, and there's astral realms, all sorts of things. But where we are right now is it's a flat plane. I don't know if there's a dome. It seems like there is, and it seems like there's a lot going on here, and there's water, and but where we are together as a holistic unit, as a species, if I can use that, if there's any way to divide it, it's not races, because that's ridiculous. Like you're gonna call a lemon and an orange and a lime and a grapefruit different? That's silly. They have a slightly different taste, but they all have the same cooperative value upon your system if you know what they actually engage inside of you. Like maybe slightly different because of their color and where they're growing on the tree, but let's be honest, they're all citrus, and they all have this certain sort of thick fruit, and they do this thing, and so a citrus fruit is just like the humans. It's a human. A human is a citrus fruit. You can find citrus fruits in the same exploration of the color spectrum as you can humans. And to think that one came from the other, to say a lime made a grapefruit is as silly as saying a grapefruit made a lime. To say that somehow like the melanated version, the more sun-kissed version of reality, or the raisin in the sun? Well, the raisin was a grape, and the grape was full of water, which is clear. So clearly, can you understand what I'm saying? Is there's no division here other than what you put in your mind. And if you get rid of the division in your mind, you become all things at once. And if you'd like to become all things at once, the easiest thing to do is find yourself a place at the seat of your own consciousness. Like right there. Like, hey, I don't care what anybody else says. I'm going to sit here and, no one's going to stop you from breathing. No one's stopping you from drinking water. Like, those are easy things to do. It's easy to find clean water. It's easy to breathe clean air. I mean, even if it's not clean, either one of those things, it's still better. It's still better than all the other options you have that you have to pay for. The free things are to go outside, breathe, look at the sun, look at it, and then consume some water. Those are easy to do, right? And now what's coming up? This eclipse? Well, what do we have? We have what is a clear disk which becomes black because it's called the black sun, covering up the white sun, or the sun that we call Jesus, or the creative force in the world. And it's covering that up so that you can see, if you would look at it by not putting glasses on, and covering up your... the same way that the earth seems to have some sort of I don't know, is it a cornucopia, a cornea, a corona? The word corona means soul or sun. A cornea, it's the what your eyeball looks like. It's what the earth is if you look at it from an astral plane, to look into where you are right now inside of the densities. So that reference there is, you don't put anything in the way of seeing the thing that is actually showing you what is the delivery system of Satan and Jesus, God and the devil. It's the salt world and the imagination. It's, hey, you know what I want to do tomorrow? I want to have this. And you're imagining it, and all of a sudden it comes true. And by true, I mean, the truth is this. If I throw an arrow, if I put it in my bow, it's called a rainbow. If I put an arrow, it's an aura, and I throw it, and I pull back that string, and I let it go, if it hits the target perfectly, I have not sinned. I've gotten a bull's eye, and it's always red and white. But if I miss to left or right, I've sinned a little bit. Means I've just missed the mark. I've hit a sine wave. I've disconnected. I've gone with the right or left path. So anybody talking about a left or right path being better or worse is not understanding the middle path, the middle ground. It's the spine. It's the arrow being taught, pulled back, and given information. If you go to school and you are taught correctly, I'm not saying school is a good thing to do, but I'm giving it, the word is taught, pull back real tight and let it go, and it goes directly straight at the target and hits the bull's eye. And the bull's eye is the bull, the bowel, the bowel's world. The bowel's world is the flaming inferno of what you get as this reality. This here that you stand upon is called the dead world. You're influencing the shadow or the dead world because you are the sun that creates the thing that comes out. See, this is the black sun and the sun that you see. It's the same thing. One is producing a wave and one's producing a particle. So you're producing a thought form that creates the reality that you get in a second. If I talk to the black sun, I get the white sun's reference. And black and white is only to give you a reference. They're both clear. They're both... The one sun that you see right now, it clearly shows all of reality. And the sun that you have never seen is clearly showing you that the reality of the white sun doesn't exist. Because it's non-existent. It's just changing form from a wave to a particle. From a wave, meaning the wave that's happening in the sea, the wave that's happening in your mind, to becoming concrete and coherent. It's a coherent wave that you can take out of your heart, out of your bowels, which are the flaming inferno that create the heart in the flaming fire that you have in your, right there in the center of your being. And then You can speak it forth, or you can see it forth in the fire in the mind. It doesn't matter how you do it. And you could create it with the lead on the paper, which was created from the ash of the tree that was burnt down with the fire. And the fire is the inferno. The inferno is what burnt the tree of the Father. And the Father is the light giver. The Son, Jesus and the devil are the same thing. They're both light-bearing units. One just delivers you the thing that you hold on to and say, that's actually physical. Jesus is the imagination of what the physical world becomes, which is Satan. Because Satan delivers the physical world. He delivers the presents, the physical object that you get for Christmas. This is Christ crossing the Mass. The masses want something. They want to cross something. I'm going to keep going straight, but then I get to a corridor or a corner, and I have to die, and to give myself exactly what it is I desire, I have to make a letter T, which is the cross, which is what Jesus bears. So if you see what Jesus bears, it's what he wears as skin. The skin is called kin. Kins. K-I-N-S is skin. The skin that you wear is the kins that you have. Kins is your family. Your family is kindling. Kin. See, so the relationship between the sun and the moon and the earth and all of these non-physical and physical objects, the imagination and the physical reality, you create all of it. And the solar eclipse is an ability for you to look into that abyss of the place and the precipice of what it is in between the mirrors. It's called a mirror conspiracy. It's a mirage. It's why it's called a marriage. If you marry a woman as a man, or a woman marries a man, you've become involved in a mirror or a mirage or a marriage. Well, it ends up in divorce, to split that back across again, because the mirror wasn't actually true. You see, there's a mirage happening because it's the same thing on a higher realm. Now I'm going to stop there and just hope you guys all enjoyed this. I'm going to go farther in the future. And by the future, I just mean probably in the morning. And by morning, I mean there'll be no morning. It'll be a grand rising for everyone. And I'll talk more about the eclipse. But hopefully, and I think this really squared a lot of things away for people. Cheers. And make sure you do all the liking, the subscribing, and the sharing of this. I've never said that in my videos before, but I heard someone say that. And I thought I should remind you all to do that, because this was so fucking good. It's important that everybody hears it. Stay well, y'all.